Are you on number 6?
Oh yeah, we're on number 6 for me, and
All right, let's go, baby.
Get ready to judge, buddy. I'm
ready.
judging myself for putting it on here, but I just
All
happened to
right.
catch this today, and I actually really liked it. It's on Netflix. It's called Tick Tick Boom, the Andrew Garfield musical.
Yep.
I'm surprised this was not the musical I was expecting to put on here, if I was going to put a musical on here, but I did not catch West Side Story this year. I just happened to catch this on Netflix. This is another thing that probably wouldn't have come across my radar had it not just been on Netflix. But I was pretty impressed with this, and I gotta say, hand it to Andrew Garfield. Speaking of sanses, he seems like he's, trying to warm up to he's having a good year, basically. Even when he's in bad stuff this year, I think he's been quite good, and you can tell he's trying weird projects, so I really appreciate
God
that.
damn it, he is weird. Can I just say real quick, because literally last night I watched the goddamn Tammy Faye Baker.
Oh yeah, that's one of the ones that I was thinking.
Oh my god, dude, I was like, Jesus, bro, why do you do this to yourself? Why do you do these? Both have fuck you Spider-Man money or something, because you're just taking wild swings out there, man. You're just out there hacking a golf course to death.
And
you don't give a single fuck.
You can tell he's trying, and that's the thing, is I always kind of felt bad with him, because ever since the, say for instance, The Social Network, you have Jesse Eisenberg and you have him, both hot young stars at the exact same time, and their paths kind of diverged. Garfield was kind of the example of what happens when you have the string of big name projects that don't quite take off. He's had a very fine career since then, doing honestly probably more interesting projects than he was doing before.
I think I'd much rather take his career. Hacksaw Ridge, You know what I mean? The Spider-Man.
Fucking Under the Silver Lake, my friend. That was my favorite movie a couple of years ago.
Eisenberg has done nothing.
Exactly.
Since Zombie, right?
Everything he's done has been different variations on Zuckerberg. So.
That's true. He's a big Zuck guy. But anyway, okay, all right. So this is Lin-Manuel Miranda directed it, right?
Yep.
Based on the guy who wrote Rent?
Yes. And the Jonathan Larson is the guy who's based on. And so I'll preface this with saying I hate Rent.
Never seen it.
I loved it. I saw it in high school. The whole thing where you're
a musical theater guy.
Well, so it was the whole thing where your high school takes a trip to New York. You go see a play. We saw Rent. I fell in love with Rent. Really loved it.
You guys got to go to New York?
Yeah, I think the art. Well, maybe it was did I do that on my? No. It was like a summer art camp thing, but I went
to New York.
We didn't get to
do shit.
No, this wasn't our school.
I was out doing two-a-days at Frostburg State University, getting my ass kicked by the football team.
No, this was outside of our fucking non-publicly funded school that doesn't give a shit about the arts program. But, so I loved it in high school, and then I think around when the movie came out, back in 2006 or something, that's when it started to annoy me. And then it's one of those things that also hasn't aged well, and I would actually recommend, if anyone wants to see a good takedown on it, Lindsay Ellis, the YouTube personality, has a good thing where she just tears it apart, that I think is awesome. But I will...
So the original Rent?
The original Rent.
Is it just...
It's a fine play, and it depends, I'm not huge, I really... honestly usually don't prefer musicals, which is why this is a little bit of a weirder pick, but if you like musicals, you like it's good for its purpose. It might be something where it's just having so many people in college kind of sing the songs and kind of killed it for me. And then when you start to think of the implications of the plot a little bit more, and how it's supposed to be about the AIDS epidemic, but it's mostly about a bunch of whiny white people, and it kind of ignores the people of color, and LGBTQ characters kind of get pushed to the sideline and stuff. But the thing that I liked about this movie is it kind of recontextualized that play again for me, because this movie is about basically Jonathan Larson, the lead up to him coming up with Rent. And it's cool because it's a nice fusion of Jonathan Larson, the Rent style. There's a lot of songs in this that sound like Rent, but there's also some songs that sound, you can tell, have the Manuel Miranda touch, because there's a couple of hip hop songs that are thrown in here, and it's kind of a nice mix of things. There's some.
When I think of hip hop, I think Andrew Garfield.
Well, he's not doing the hip hop in it. There's another guy singing,
okay.
So it actually works better in that scene. But yeah, and I will say Garfield's got a good voice and everything. But yeah, so the plot is basically about Larson and this is another thing that I think is kind of quaint. It's set when before he's famous or anything. He's just some dude who's about to turn 30, and he's freaking out because he hasn't accomplished anything yet. And he's like, "Geez, do you want to make us feel bad?"
Yeah, we're 35 and haven't accomplished anything
exactly. Yet. And so I think it's also set in 1990. So I think that maybe meant a little more something. But he's like a struggling musical theater playwright kind of thing, and he's been working on this one work for like 8 years, and it's his masterpiece, and he knows it's going to he's put everything into it, and the whole movie is kind of about the tension because he's about to show it, and there's going to be big producers at this presentation that he's going to show it for, but it's the whole dynamic of the artist's life, like this thing that he's put all of his heart and soul into is like costing him all the money that he doesn't have. It's taking a toll on his relationship with his girlfriend and even his best friend, who's, kind of the foil for him. He's the guy that was an actor but gave it all up to go into advertising and now makes a lot of money. And then all throughout you kind of see a little hints of like where the Larson is getting the ideas for like what would later become Rent, like especially with like the HIV epidemic and stuff like that. So and it all is very funny, like like the themes resonated with me a lot. So even if there were some of the musical parts I wasn't into as much, I must say everything was like really well staged, everything was well sung, and some of the songs are bops, and Garfield's really good, and the acting's really good, and it's this kind of gave me a whole new side of the Larson. Oh, and the most important part of the story, which is the thing that Larson is kind of legendary for, is Rent was the thing he was a second play that he wrote, and it was one of the biggest Broadway sensations ever. It lasted 12 years, but he never got to see it because he died the night before it premiered of like a brain embolism or something crazy like that. So the entire movie is about him feeling pressure that he needs to do something now, and people like before he turns 30, because he needs to leave his mark on the world, and he did, and he was correct. Like, he did have a really short time on this planet, and he did, whether you like it or not, he did do something that was like totally changed the genre and everything like that.
Yeah, he couldn't have possibly imagined a straight to streaming Netflix semi-autographical biodoc.
Yeah, with a guy that played Spider-Man once unsuccessfully.
Yeah. He's just smiling down from heaven, you know what I mean?
But
watching all unfold.
They dedicate. I think I remember this. They dedicate the end of every play is dedicated to him and everything because of that. So it's. I would say I didn't give it a shot, and it also just depends on your tolerance for musicals or not. But I definitely recommend it, especially if any of those struggling artist movies resonate with you. This definitely does. So check it out. It's on Netflix. Right. What else are you gonna do? All right.